through college football. Vandy has the ball and the lead in a short field. It goes down the middle and caught! Touchdown! Kalen DeBoer's team up against the ropes. Can Vandy extends its lead? Vanderbilt takes down number 1 Alabama.
One of the great upsets we saw in the 2024 season. Could we have a bit of a rivalry brewing between Vanderbilt and Alabama?
No, but revenge will have to happen at some point. I just believe that.
Do you know when it might happen?
Yes, I do.
Where? Roman.
October 4th.
October 4th.
There it is. Week 5.
So you got that circled high.
Yeah, that's
All right, welcome back to the 2025 SEC College Football Schedule Reveal. Now look at the October schedule reveal. Now this is going to be all important. So Alabama will take on Vanderbilt again on October the 5th.
A lot of eyeballs will certainly be on it at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And then, how about Texas?
Then Texas will take on Florida.
It was in 1940, folks. The swamp. We talked about Florida with road games at LSU in week 3, road game at Miami in week 4. Texas comes in week number 6.
Now Alabama will take on we'll take on Vanderbilt. Florida will take on Texas, and then Georgia will take on Kentucky again as a rematch, and Oklahoma will take on Kansas State, and Texas A&M will take on Mississippi State.
Game in 2024. But remember the last time Kentucky went down to Athens, they were 5-0. They ended up losing 51-13. So Kentucky finds a way.
I bet Georgia will beat Kentucky again, like usually, like every year. Now this is week 6 schedule.
Lagway was unhealthy in that game. What would it look like with a healthy DJ Lagway? And one thing I never thought I'd be able to say on this network: revenge game for Alabama versus Vanderbilt.
Now Texas will take on Oklahoma as a rivalry game. That is a very rivalry game at Dallas, Texas, at the Cotton Bowl Stadium again, like usually. That will happen on September. Saturday, October.
Which is something we've seen occasionally at times.
And Arkansas will take on Tennessee. Yes, Tennessee will take on Arkansas.
Tennessee. That one was in Fayetteville in 2025. The Razorbacks will have to hit the road and play that one in Neyland. Then the Deep South's oldest rivalry swings back to Jordan-Hare in a matchup that tends to
then
get a
Georgia
little bit
will
weird.
take on
It was
Auburn
less weird
again.
in 2024. Pretty tame, honestly. A 31-13 win by Georgia between the hedges. That, though, October 11th in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Well,
so
this is how it looks
Alabama
right now.
on the road at Missouri. Florida at Texas A&M. Ron, what stands out to you there?
Well, number one, that Washington State at Ole Miss, they have never played before. That stands out immediately. And then, of course, Alabama, how much their struggles were on the road in the SEC. This is a test for them. Can you get over those?
You talk about revenge. What about South Carolina getting revenge against the officials going to LSU?
Come on. Don't you hit him.
Come on, man. Hey, this was a game in 2024 that was decided by some
against officials.
They leave no doubt.
There it is.
That's how they leave no doubt.
All right, that's the answer.
Now week 8.
Number 8. Oh, it's turned into a
Alabama will take on Tennessee.
I mean, it always was, and it seems to be back as one. Tennessee and Alabama getting going at Bryant-Denny Stadium on the 18th of October, and certainly all kinds of things will be on the line there. And then Ole Miss, Georgia,
Ole Miss.
about payback again.
Ole Miss will take on, Georgia will take on Ole Miss again. Oh my God, a rematch again.
Bulldogs, other week 8. The rest of the week 8 schedule looks as such. A&M at Arkansas. Remember, this game no longer in Arlington. That is over. They're now at home sites. Missouri at Auburn. Mississippi State goes to Florida. Texas, Kentucky, Oklahoma down to Columbia, South Carolina. Boy, they love a little revenge as well after what the Gamecocks did. They in Norman last week. And then LSU at Vanderbilt. B-Dub, what jumps out from week number 8?
Well, the Ole Miss at Georgia, this was the Lane game 2 years ago when Lane Kiffin said famously that he had to make his team bigger, stronger, faster to compete against Georgia. Going back there to Athens and to beat Georgia last year pretty badly in Ole Miss. But look, this is a game that kind of set the trajectory for the last couple of years when it comes to who's getting in the playoffs.
I agree with you. Third Saturday in October, of course. And then Drake took a year off. He had a bad year in 2024. Can he bounce back like Ole Miss and go back to back?
Week 9, it's going to be is LSU will take on Texas A&M.
Of course, this game played at Kyle Field in College Station in 2024.
But now we'll be live at the Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Then Ole Miss will take on Oklahoma. Actually, Oklahoma will take on Ole Miss.
Obviously, an Oklahoma team that's welcoming some of those
will be held at the Giller Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium.
Back home to Norman in 2025. We talk about revenge.
Now,
games.
Alabama
South Carolina, who went on the
will
road
take
to
on
Tuscaloosa and almost
South Carolina
against the Crimson Tide.
Gamecocks.
They welcome Alabama to Williams-Brice Stadium.
And
Week
South
9.
Carolina,
That is
their
gonna be one of
game
those
will
games
be held at the
being circled on
Williams-Brice
schedule as
Stadium
well. Looking at some of the other Week
in
9 games,
Columbia,
Auburn,
South Carolina.
Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, bit of a rivalry game there as well. Texas at
It's so like a
Mississippi State.
rivalry
What do you see here
game.
that you like?
Alabama won that game 25-27. And again, looking at what happened this year with the playoff, I think it all kind of goes back to that. You see these teams that are like the first or second out, South Carolina, Ole Miss. These are the games that they've got to win and that they look back in 2024 saying, we haven't won those football games. Can they win those games moving forward in 2025?
For me, it is the fact when that game is played at South Carolina for Alabama, like timing. Is it at night or is it during the middle of the day? That matters when you go down to South Carolina.
We'll find
and
that out.
And then Ole Miss and Oklahoma. This is starting to be that tough stretch for Oklahoma in their matchup and in their games. We haven't shown the whole schedule, but this is the start of it for Oklahoma.
No, and the last half of that schedule is gross for them. All right, we bring Paul back in here. So now, Paul, we've just unveiled all of October. What jumps out to you from that month next year?
October's about the Blue Bloods, Daria. I see Texas having to go to Florida. I mean, that is a very challenging game, any game down there. And then they also have the OU game, revenge. You understand that. Last year was a complete blowout. OU has not forgotten that. Then they go to Kentucky. The other one is Bama. They already have the Georgia game in September. Don't forget that. And here they go. They have to go to Tennessee on the third Saturday and then follow that up by going to South Carolina. I think that is a very treacherous opportunity, something that Kalen DeBoer has to be very careful about.
No question. Paul, thank you. Check back in with him in just a bit. I mean, we go through this and we all know this, but seeing it on paper or on your television, the grind is unmatched. It is flat out unmatched, and we're all reminded every time we see these schedules lay out.
Yeah, the gauntlet is real in the SEC, and certainly the way the schedule lays out. And Benjamin, there's always a team that ends up being a lot better than we predicted them to be going into the season.
How long this is going to last?
It always throws a wrench in your schedule too, no matter who you are.
That's why we sit here. I remember last year we were talking about schedules.
How long is it going to last?
We talked about Florida.
Oh, there it is.
Teams, and then we sit here
See
now
how long it's going to last. And that will be until 7:30. Are you serious? Wow. Until 7:30.
But I think, Roman, you mentioned something
Well,
before
actually,
about timing.
no. It will last until 8 o'clock.
It's a game of timing individually when you play a football game.
Yeah, I'm actually going to last until 8
recognize
o'clock.
the field. But also as a team, you hear coaches talk about where their team is mentally, what the grind is.
There is
for their
only
team week to
one
week. Are they
thing.
away? Are they home? But also, what's the health of their football team?
Yeah.
I mean, you can sit there and look at a team at the beginning of the season and say, man, this team looks like gangbusters, but they lose one or two guys that are important to them, some leaders in the locker room, and then they end up losing some games later on. So there's a lot that's unpredictable, but you mentioned the SEC grind is tough in a bunch of different ways.
I just always, every single year, one of these teams show up that we don't expect to be good. And then next you know, they're way better than we thought. And then now, the wins that we thought were guaranteed, they're no longer guaranteed. And so which team will that be? That's what I'm always interested in. It's always a team that's sleeping out there, that's a sleeping giant that we just don't see happening. This year's version of 2024's version was South Carolina. All right, you also had Vandy go out there and knock off a lot of teams that nobody anticipated. And then you also have teams that falter, like a Kentucky, or other teams that struggle to kind of not get in the, kind of get out of their own way. And so every season takes on its own personality. We just get to read it to you guys, but we don't know truly until it rolls out there.
Highlight certain games. By the time that week actually gets here, that might not be the highlight.
There it is. Yeah.
How about no bye before Red River? And Texas has to go to Florida.
Unusual. With Oklahoma having Kent State before that. That's a great point. Certainly an advantage, perhaps. OU's way there.
I can read.
Much more still ahead. We got a lot more schedule to give you.
Now, coming up, when we get back, it'll be the rivalry week for November or maybe October, maybe late. And now, coming up, will be defending champ schedule for my very famous team, Georgia Bulldogs. Like we won the SEC championship this past Saturday, and we'll be right back after these words.